Hello, friends. I'm Steve Russell, sales manager for Evergreen Digital Showroom in Lebanon, Missouri, bringing you the latest in our series of videos about historic American automakers that are no longer in business. If you've missed our previous videos on Packard, Studebaker, and Duesenberg, I invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Evergreen Digital Showroom, where you can find those and all the other videos we've produced. Today we're going to showcase the Auburn Automobile Company, a manufacturer that drew its name from the town in Indiana where the cars were built. Over the course of this video, we'll show you a few of the Auburn cars in our portfolio. The Auburn legacy dates back to the Eckert Carriage Company formed in Auburn, Indiana in 1874 by Charles Eckert. His sons Frank and Morris began making a few experimental automobiles around 1900, and that soon evolved into the Auburn Automobile Company, as the brothers bought out two local car companies and by 1909 had expanded their efforts to a larger factory. Their 1904 Auburn was a touring car with a tonneau cover, having the ability to seat 2 or 4 people depending upon the model. Power was derived from a single-cylinder 10-horsepower engine through a 2-speed planetary transmission. The car was not cheap, retailing for $800. A series of 2-, 4-, and 6-cylinder cars followed in the course of time up to the year 1912. During World War I, a shortage of materials forced the factory to drastically limit production, and by 1919, Auburn vehicles were outdated in several areas. The Chicago-based group of investors headed by chewing gum magnate William Wrigley Jr. purchased the company from the Eckert brothers that same year. They began to put new engineering and styling touches to the cars that featured a more streamlined body design with disc wheels, step plates replacing the running boards, and windshields with vent wings. The lingering effects of a post-war depression was still impacting auto sales, with annual sales of less than 4,000 units. By 1924, the company was in extremely critical condition. The ownership group turned to E.L. Cord, an individual who'd made quite a name for himself selling cars in Chicago. Cord was approached with an offer to manage the Auburn company, and he responded with a counteroffer that was essentially what today would be called a leveraged buyout. The investors accepted Cord's proposal, and in a short time he had successfully sold their carryover inventory. Not long thereafter, Cord became president and chief stockholder of the company. Under Cord's leadership, the Auburn brand flourished, developing a reputation for performance and style. 8-cylinder cars were introduced, and the sale of Auburn vehicles reached 20,000 units annually in 1929. Auburn would drop the 6-cylinder engines in 1930, increasing development of the 8 and eventually 12-cylinder power plants. Engines were provided by Lycoming, a company Cord had purchased in 1929. The first few years of the Great Depression seemed to have little effect on Auburn sales, but that changed in 1932 when sales plummeted by almost 50%. That downward trend continued into 1933 as sales again fell by more than 50% from the previous year, a total of less than 5,000 vehicles ever made. 1933 models were retitled as 34 units. Cord's personal finances had been stretched very thin, as his automotive acquisitions and the establishment of the brand bearing his name was taking a toll. Cord dropped out of sight in 1934 and left the United States for England. Supervision of his automotive holdings was taken over by Duesenberg president Harold T. Ames. Cord resurfaced in the United States in 1936 and immediately became the target of investigations by the Internal Revenue Service and the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission for alleged stock irregularities. Auburn, along with Cord and Duesenberg, closed their doors in 1937, effectively ending Cord's involvement in the automotive industry. Cord managed to retain most of his fortune and later became involved with real estate and politics in Nevada. In 1940, a bankruptcy organization merged Central Manufacturing Company, a coach builder in Connorsville, Indiana that Cord had purchased to supply bodies for Auburn and other brands, to form Auburn Central Manufacturing Corporation. In 1941, that company won a contract to supply 16,000 bodies for Willys Overland Jeeps, and by 1945 had produced over 150,000 such bodies. With the end of World War II, the company, now known as American Central Manufacturing, turns its attentions to making kitchen cabinets, sinks, and appliances, bringing an end to that company's role in American automotive history. There's a saying that imitation is the most sincere form of flattery, and that seems to be the case with Auburn cars. Since closing in 1937, there have been numerous replica and continuation series cars built. Most of those cars rely on late model power plants with modern suspension and brake components while retaining an original exterior appearance. Vintage Auburns remain popular in the collector car world, with excellent restorations seeing mid to high six-figure prices at auction. Replica and continuation cars generally bring a much lower price than the original cars, but continue the legacy of this historic mark. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Again, I invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Evergreen Digital Showroom, to see the other videos we've produced. I'd also invite you to visit our website, www.evergreendigitalshowroom.com, to see a sampling of the vehicles we have for sale at this time. Feel free to give me a call at 417-532-8000 if you're looking for a specific classic collectible vehicle, and we can discuss that. From all the folks at Evergreen Digital Showroom, have a great day.